Hi, I'm Tony Chapman, professional speaker, corporate relationship expert, and author of the book, The Force Multiplier, How to Lead Teams Where Everyone Wins. Today I'm going to give you Force Multiplier principle number 4, and it's a big one because it's delegation. Delegation is one of those things that you cannot overstate its importance when you talk about a leader being effective. And yet, unfortunately, most leaders enter into their position without ever being taught or trained how to effectively delegate. And so because of this, I'm going to today give you the Force Multiplier 10 Commandments of Effective Delegation. You ready? Cool, let's roll. Commandment number 1, eliminate the excuses. Look, you already know you need to delegate. It's obvious. And if you don't, here's what's going to happen. You're going to spend your time doing stuff. And by stuff, here's what I don't mean. I don't mean the most important things. I don't mean the things that have the greatest impact. And I don't mean the things that you will be evaluated on as a leader. I mean, you will be busy doing stuff. But you've got to eliminate all the little excuses that are in your head. Which excuses, Tony? The ones like, but I don't want to burden my already overworked staff. Look, it's your role to properly distribute work amongst your team. So do it. That is delegating. Make sure everyone has the right amount of work to do, and don't feel guilty for having people work. You got to get rid of, but Tony, I like doing this task. You know what? Just because you like doing it doesn't mean it's what you should be doing. There's a lot of things that everyone does in their day to be more effective that they don't necessarily want to do. So do what's right. And you got to get rid of this thought. But Tony, if I can't do the task myself, I don't have the right to ask my team to do it. Got to get rid of this myth that somehow the manager or the supervisor is supposed to be so amazing that they can do everyone else's job better than them. That's crazy. Look, people are hired for a reason, and they bring a skill set onto their team. Leverage each person's individual skill for the benefit of the team. Do it. But those two things pale in comparison to the two I hear every single time. Number 1, here's what I hear. Tony, I don't want to delegate because I can do it faster myself. You know what? It may be true. By the time you fully explain and fully train someone how to do it, you may be able to do it faster yourself. But that means you're going to be doing all the wrong stuff and they're going to be underdeveloped. You will not be as effective as you could be. But that's not anything. The second one's the big one. This is the real one. Because here's what people really feel. Tony, I want it done the right way. And when they say the right way, here's what they really mean. Tony, I want it done my way, the way I would do it. You know what? I get that. That's a legitimate concern. In fact, there are surveys that say managers spend about 14% of their time going back and redoing the work that they have assigned to other people. But you know what? That does not excuse you from delegating. It should motivate you to learn how to delegate properly, which is why I gave you these 10 commandments. Commandment number 2, know what you should and shouldn't delegate. Look, not everything should be delegated. So what should you delegate? Routines. Tasks and projects that are unfamiliar to you. Things that require technical expertise that your team already has. Some things that you enjoy doing that others would enjoy doing and would help them to be more engaged. And cross-training your employees. Letting your team train each other based on the skills they already have. So what should you delegate? It comes down to 2 T's. Tasks and training, but only certain trainings. But what shouldn't you delegate? You shouldn't delegate long-term planning. That is part of what you need to do as far as determining the direction that your team or organization is going to go. You shouldn't delegate the selection of key players for your team. You shouldn't delegate dealing with conflict or touchy situations. And you shouldn't delegate anything that's going to set a precedent for the future. So what shouldn't you delegate? It comes down to 3 P's. Planning, people problems, and precedents. Commandment number 3, assess. Assess whether people are ready to be fully delegated to. You don't want to just go telling people to do stuff and not know if they're capable of doing it, if they're ready to do it, if you can trust them. And when I say trust, I mean trust on two very specific dimensions. Number one, do you trust that they're reliable? Are they properly motivated? Do they have the character to get this thing done? Are they great finishers? Trust. And the other one is, do I trust their ability? Do they have the knowledge? Do they have the skill set? Do they have the capability to actually complete this task? See, it would be wrong to delegate something to someone who's never been trained to do it. You're setting them up for failure. But you know, the beauty of this thing is, if you delegate properly, you can build reliability and ability into someone. Here's what I mean. Let's say you have someone and you trust that they have the ability to do something, but you don't trust that they're reliable. You don't just tell them to do a task, you regulate them. By regulate, here's what I mean. You take the project or the task and you break it down into very specific sections. Sections that have benchmarks, things that need to be finished. And in each little section, you follow up with them to make sure that they actually did it. You would be an idiot to wait till it's all done and then find out they're not reliable. But no, you know what? That piece-by-piece accountability will help bring reliability to them. You're training them to have character. You're training them to be reliable. But let's say the reverse happens. You have someone who's totally reliable but doesn't have the ability. Then you need to develop them. You need to train them. You need to have them see how you would do it. You need to walk them through it. Let them gain responsibility over the task piece by piece. And then as they learn more and more, you can entrust them more and more. And guess what? Not only will they be able to do it, but they'll be able to do it the way you want them to do it. And what if they have neither? You can't rely on them and they don't have the ability. Well, the first thing I would do is I train them, because I want to make sure that what I interpret as being a lack of reliability isn't just them being insecure because they know how to do the task. That happens all the time. So instead, I want to train them. I want to make them really good at what they do. I'm going to develop them. And then if it doesn't work out, then I'll learn a lot on the way. And guess what? Some people you can't keep. Commandment number 4. Make your expectations clear. Make sure that you have properly communicated exactly what you want. Provide the big picture. Why is this even important? Give them a clear definition of exactly what the endpoint will look like. What are the deliverables? And provide a schedule or a clear expectation of the deadline. And then you have to ask them, well, how do I know if they got it? You know they have it when they repeat it back to you in their own words. And until then, you don't know. So make sure they repeat it back to you in their own words, and then you can be confident that you've set clear expectations. Commandment number 5. Give them all of the information necessary. This seems obvious, but it's amazing. Sometimes people do, oh, I forgot you needed that, or, well, I felt that was on a need-to-know basis. No, you're setting them up for failure if you don't give them every piece of information they need. Commandment number 6, and this one is a pet peeve of mine. Make sure they have authority. When you send people out to do stuff, when you delegate work to them, make sure that they have the authority to actually carry out the job. Because you know what? There are people that resist you. So what do you think they're going to do with them? When a country sends a diplomat to another country, that diplomat has certain authority to act on behalf of the country that sent them. When you're delegating, you are sending your diplomats to work on your behalf. Make sure they have the authority to get the job done. Commandment number 7, resources. Make sure they have all the resources they need to get the job done. Don't expect them to do a great job if they don't have the resources necessary. You know what? That's going to take a little forethought. And sometimes you'll realize, man, I've been doing this on autopilot for so many years, I forgot that they need this. That's fine. Give them the resources and let them crank. Commandment number 8, accountability. Look, if you don't hold people accountable, they will quickly realize that there's no consequences and they will adapt to your expectations. Not the expectations that are in your head, the ones that you express through your words and your actions. Hold people accountable. And you know what? You're doing them a favor when you hold them accountable. They respect you more. As long as you're not harsh and heavy-handed, but hold them accountable. Be a leader. Commandment number 9, feedback. When the work is done, go back and have a debrief. When you've delegated something, make sure you evaluate how it was done. What went really well? What could have been improved on? How do we make improvements? Ask a lot of questions. Don't just tell them. Ask them how they thought it went. Maybe it'll enlighten you. Maybe you'll figure out some things you never saw. But get that feedback. Give them the feedback that they need so that they can be more successful. Because here's a surprise for you. Most people want to do a good job. They don't want to do things half-butt at work. But they have to get the proper feedback so they know what to improve. An employee should never get their feedback only at the time of their performance evaluation, because a good leader is always giving them feedback. And number 10, reward success. When people do a great job, reward them. Let them know they did a great job. That may be something as simple as a verbal, thank you, you did a good job. Maybe there's something more in it. I don't know. But if you consistently reward people when they do a great job, you are going to create new habits and behaviors for people who want to do better each time. Guess what? That's how they train killer whales at SeaWorld. They give them a fish when they do a good job, and next thing you know, orcas jumping through a hoop of fire. Reward them when they do a great job. If you follow these 10 commandments, I guarantee your delegation will be far, far, far more effective. You'll find yourself closer to being a force multiplier.